Welcome to this tutorial on assembly. In this tutorial we will design a butterfly valve. We will design all the components and we will assemble all the components. Okay, so this is assignment number 2. You need to refer the assignment file that you have already downloaded. So you can just open it, the butterfly valve assembly, and you can just go through all the components one by one, have a thorough observation of it, and possibly try to make by hand on your sketchbook. After that you can use the software. Making it by hand will improve your skills to understand the drawing. Okay, so we have few components here. We can just go through it. So now let's create the component one by one. We have a body here, so we will create the body first. So let's click on start, go to mechanical design, part design, and let's select one plane. Here we will select XY plane. Okay, click on sketch, and we have a circular profile here, so we will create these two circles. Circle 1 having a diameter of 194 mm. So let's give the measurement of 194 mm. Then we have another circle. So let's create it and give the dimension. The dimension is radius 140 mm. So let's click on constraint and edit the dimension. Make it radius, and we have 140 mm radius. Okay, now let's come out of the sketch and click on pad, and let's see the thickness of this. So we have the dimension 225 mm. So let's make it 225 mm, preview, and let's click OK. So we have created this portion of the part. Now we will create this profile. Okay, so we have a circle and a semicircle and two lines. So let's select this face, click on sketch, and click on circle, create a circle which is in line with this horizontal axis. The dimension of the circle is 47 mm diameter. So let's give a dimension of 47 mm diameter. Let's click OK. Now let's give the dimension from the axis to this center point, and we want it to be 175 mm. Okay, now let's create one more circle, and from the center of this circle, and we want it to be 50 mm in radius. Okay, so let's give dimension to this 50 mm in radius. Okay, let's project this by using project 3D element and create two lines that is tangent to this circle, and it is intersecting this projected circle. Let's create one more line. Okay, now let's create a circle having a radius of 140 mm. And now let's remove the unwanted part by using a trim feature. So let's remove the unwanted part. Okay, let us delete the projected circle, and we have we have a profile here. Okay, so now let's exit the workbench, and now let's click on pad. So we want it to be 32 mm. Reverse the direction, preview, click OK. So we have created this part. Now we want to create a few more parts, and let's use a pattern feature here. We can find a circular pattern here. Click on circular pattern, select the object. So we have to click here. We have selected pad 3, that is this portion. Then we have to select the reference, and we can take the outer circle as a reference. Okay, and now let's change the number to 3, and we have to make the angle as 120 degree. Let's preview, and we have created the part. Okay, so let's click OK. Now we have the similar part on other face, this face of the cylindrical part. So we can use the pattern again, and in this case we have to use a rectangular pattern. So let's click on rectangular pattern, click here to select the object, and we have to select this circular pattern, and let's give an reference element, and let's make this axis as a reference element, and let's define the spacing, and the spacing has to be 225 minus 32, that is around 193. So let's enter 193 here, and reverse the direction, preview. So we have created this component. Okay, let's click OK. Now let's move ahead and see what we have more to do. So we have this circular profile here, which is having a diameter of 200 mm, and it is having an inner diameter of 100 mm. Okay, so to create this, we will first create a plane that is at a distance of 160 mm from the center. Okay, select this plane, that is YZ plane, and create a plane, reference plane at 160 mm. Let's reverse the direction and preview, and let's click OK. So now let's create this circular part. Select the reference plane, click on sketch, and we will create a circle here on the central axis. We want the diameter to be 200 mm. Let's change it to diameter, and we want it to be 200 mm. Let's give the position to this point from this edge, and we want it to be 112.5 mm. So this is the dimension, it is given here. So it is 112.5 mm. Let's come out of the sketch, click on pad, and here we have to click up to next. Okay, preview, and we have the part here. Click OK. So now we have to create a pocket on this part. Let us click on this face, click on sketch, create a circle at the center, and we want the diameter to be 100 mm. Okay, so let's give the dimension, make it 100 mm. Click on constraint, select this circle and select this circle, right click and click on concentricity. Okay, now let's come out of the sketch, click on pocket, and we want the depth to be 25 mm. Preview, click OK, and we have the desired part. So we have created the circle profile here, and now we have one more circular profile on other side. As we can see in the drawing, we have a circular profile here. To create this circular profile, we have to first take a reference plane which will be at a distance of 325 mm from this face. So first let's create a reference plane, select this face and click on plane. We want it to be on other side, so reverse the direction and enter 325 mm, preview, click OK. And let's select this plane, click on sketch and create a circle. Give the dimension to this circle and we want it to be 75 mm in diameter. As we can see here, it is mentioned as 75 mm, and we want this circle to be concentric to any of the circle. So click on constraint, select the circle and you can select this circle, right click and click on concentricity. Okay, let's come out of the sketcher, click on pad, reverse the direction. Here we have to make changes. We will select up to next, preview, and we have a circular profile here. Click OK. Now let's create the hole. We can see in the drawing we have a hole here with a diameter of 56.2 mm and the depth of the hole is 310 mm from this face. So let us select this face, click on sketch, let's create a circle. The diameter of the circle is 56.2 mm. Click on constraints, select this circle and select this circle, right click and click on concentricity. Okay, now let's come out of the sketcher workbench, click on pocket, select the sketch and we want it to be 310 mm. So let's enter 310 mm, preview, click OK. So we have created the hole here. Now we have to create this holes here. 3 holes are present on this profile and the diameter of each hole is 20.3 mm. Now these holes are created at BDC of 150 mm. So now let's create this holes. Select this face, click on sketch, let's create a circle, let's give dimension and make it 150 mm. Click on constraint, select this circle, select any of the circle, right click and click on concentricity. Convert this circle into construction element. Click on circle and create a circle here. So this is the hole that we are creating now. Let's make it standard element. and give the dimension 20.3 mm. So let's click on the pocket, select the sketch, and we want the depth to be 15 mm. Preview, and we have created the hole here. So now we can repeat and create 2 more holes by using a circular pattern, and we have a feature here, circular pattern. Click on circular pattern, select the object that we want to pattern, and we want to pattern this pocket. We want to create 3 instances at a degree of 120 from each other. Let's select the reference, and we can select any of it. Just preview, let's click OK. So we have created all the 3 holes as shown in the drawing. So in this way we have completed the body. Let's save it. Let's name it as body. Now let's see other components. So we have a shaft here and a retainer. So let's create this retainer first. Click on File, New File, click on Part, OK, select any plane, click on Sketch, and we have a retainer with a OD as 200 mm and ID as 56 mm. So let's create 2 circles, 200 mm and 1 more circle with 56 mm diameter. Okay, and we have a thickness of 25 mm here. So let's come out of this sketcher, click on pad and enter 25 mm here, and we have a extrude of 25 mm now. Okay, now we have to create this 3 circles, 3 holes, which is having a diameter of 20.3 mm. So to create this, let's select this face, click on sketch, create a circle, give a diameter of 150 mm, and this is the circle that we are creating now, having a diameter of 150 mm. Let's convert this into the construction element. Now let's click on circle, create a circle or having a center on the vertical axis. Let's convert it into standard element, give a diameter, and we want the diameter of 20.3 mm. So let's edit and make it 20.3 mm. Let's exit the workbench, click on pocket, and we want it to up to next, preview, click OK. Now using this pocket we have to create 2 more pockets, and that can be done by using a circular pattern feature. And click here to select the object that we want to pattern. So let us select this pocket and enter here the value 3, make the angle 120 degree, select reference, and we will select this circle as a reference, preview and click OK. So we have created this retainer. Let us save it. So let us now create the shaft. click on file, open the new part file, click OK, select any of the plane, click on sketch, create a circle, let's give dimension to it, and we want it to be 56 mm diameter. So double click on it, make it 56 mm diameter. Let's come out of the sketch, click on pad, and we have to calculate this length now. So it is going to be 38.2 plus 193.8 plus 15.1, so making a total of 247.1. So let's enter 247.1 mm, preview and click OK. And now we will create this part. It is having a diameter of 87.2 mm. So let's click on this face, click on sketch and create a circle from the center, give a dimension 87.2 mm. Let's come out of the workbench, click on pad, and the width is 24 mm. So let's enter 24 mm, click OK. Then we will create this part now, having a diameter of 56 mm and a length of 89.8 mm. So let's select this face, click on sketch, create a circle, give a diameter of 56 mm, and we have a length of 89.8 mm. So let's come out of workbench, click on pad, enter 89.8 mm, preview, click OK. Now we have this part having a diameter of 37.5 mm and a length of 28.9 mm. So let's select this face, click on sketch, create a circle, let's give dimension 37.5. Let's come out of the workbench, click on pad, and we have to give it a length of 28.9 mm. So let's make it 28.9 mm, preview, OK. So now we have to give a chamfer of 45 degree. Click on this edge, let's make length 3 mm and 45 degrees. So preview, click OK. So we have given a chamfer that is 3 into 45 degrees. Okay. So now we have to remove this material from this shaft. So the length is around 193.8 and the height is 31.1. So let's select a plane. This is the plane that we are going to select. Click on sketch, and now we have to create a rectangle, and let's give dimension to it. Length is 193.8 mm, 193.8 mm. Now let's give a dimension to this line. For that we have to project these two edges. Okay, and let's create a line joining this endpoints. Now we will give a dimension to this, and we want it to be 31.1 mm. So let's make it 31.1 mm, and delete these lines. Now we can delete these lines, or we can convert it into construction lines. So we have created this sketch, and we have to give one more dimension from this edge, and we want it to be 15.1 mm. Okay, so let's come out of the workbench, click on pocket, select mirror extend, and we can select here up to next, preview. So we have removed the material. Now we have to create two holes here having a diameter of 12.5 mm. So let's select this face, click on sketch, create circle, create the second circle, give it a diameter of 12.5 mm. Similarly, give diameter to this circle, 12.5 mm, and we have to position it. The distance from this edge is 46.9 mm. And the distance between the two circles is around 100 mm. Okay, click on exit, click on pocket, and select up to next, preview, click OK. So we have created the shaft, and you can save it. So now let's create the next component. That we have a arm here, and these are the two views of the arm. So let's create. Click on file, open the new part file, click OK, select any plane, click on sketch, and we have to create the circular profile first. So we will create two circles. So the diameter is 112.5. Click on circle, create a circle, give dimension 112.5. Then we have a internal circle. Let's click on circle, create one more circle. The radius is 28.15 mm. The radius is 28.15 mm. Click OK, and we have to create a groove here having a dimension of 12.5 mm. So let's create a rectangle here. Let's give the dimension, that is 12.6 mm. The distance from this axis is 35 mm. this has to be 6.3 mm, and now we will remove the unwanted part by using a trim option. Let's come out of the sketch and click on pad, and we want the width to be 62.5. so let's enter 31.25 and create a mirror extend so that we have a total of 62.5 mm. Let's preview, click OK. So we have this profile here. Click on this YZ plane, click on sketch, create a circle, create one more circle. Let's give dimension to this, and we want it to be 43.8. Let's click on diameter and make it 43.8, and we want this to be 87.5. okay, now let's define the distance between these two, and we want it to be 300 mm. okay, let's come out of the sketch, click on pad, and we want the width to be 62.5 mm. so let's enter 31.25 mm and click on mirrored extend. Let's now create this central part having a thickness of 25 mm. So let's select this plane, click on sketch. So let's project this and click on line. Let's create lines that are tangent to this circle. Let's convert this to construction element, and let's click on circle, create a circle, click on trim and remove the unwanted part of the circle. Let's come out of the sketch and click on pad, and we want thickness of 25 mm. So let's make it 12.5 mm. Click on mirrored extend, preview, click OK. So we have created the arm. Let's save it. So now let's create the next component, that is a plate. So let's click on file, click on new, select part, click OK, select any plane, click on sketch, Now let's create this plate. For that we have to create an ellipse. So let's select this center and give the dimension. We want this dimension to be 96.9 mm. So 96.9 mm. Click on the constraint and give this dimension. We want it to be 102.5 mm. 102.5 mm. So let's come out of the workbench, click on pad, and we want the thickness of 6 mm. So let's enter 6 mm. Select the sketch, preview, click OK. Now we have to create the holes. So let's select the sketch, select the plane, click circle, create 2 holes. We want the diameter to be 12.5 mm. And the distance between these two holes is 100 mm. That is 50 mm from the center. So let's give the dimension from the center. Let's make it 50 mm. Okay, let's come out, click on pocket, and we can give 6 mm depth, or we can also select up to next. Preview, click OK. So we have designed the plate here. Let's save it. So let's see the next component. We have a nut here. So let's click on File, New, select Part, click OK. Select any plane, and let's create a hexagon. The dimensions are 69 mm between the parallel edges, 69 mm. And let's click on constraint, select this point and select this edge, right click, make it coincidence so that this point and this point is on the horizontal axis. Let's create this circle having a diameter of 37 mm. Let's come out of the workbench, click on pocket, and we want the depth to be 25 mm. So let's select 25 mm, click OK. So we have created this part, and now we have to create this profile. So we have to select a plane. We'll be selecting ZX plane, click on sketch. Let's create a triangular profile. Let's give an angle of 45 degrees. Let's click on constraint, select this point and select this point, right click and make it coincidence. Okay, now let's come out of the sketch. Click on groove, select the sketch, select the axis for rotation, preview, click OK, and we have created the nut. Let's save it, and now we are left with the last component, that is a screw. So let's click on file, click on new, select part, click OK, select any plane, click on sketch. So in order to create this screw, we will create the bottom part. Click on circle, create a circle having a diameter of 20 mm. Come out of the sketch, click on pad, and we want it to be 30 mm. Okay, now let's give chamfer to it, 30 into 45 mm. Click on chamfer, enter 3 and enter 45 here, preview, click OK. So now we will be creating the top portion of the screw. So let's click on this plane, enter into sketch, create a line, create one more line, and create a circle. The radius of circle is 15 mm. So let's give dimension to this circle. We want the radius to be 15 mm. Okay, now let's remove the unwanted part using trim option. We will trim the unwanted part. Okay, now let's come out of the workbench, click on shaft, select the cross section and select the axis, preview, click OK. Now we have to create this slot, so let's select this plane here, click on sketch, and the slot is of 4 mm. So let's create a rectangle here. Now we want the distance from this edge to this axis to be 2 mm, and similarly we want the distance from as 2 mm, and we have a dimension of 3 mm from here. So let's click on constraints, select this line and select this edge, make it 3 mm. Okay, let's come out of the workbench, click on pocket, and we have to select here mirror extend, and we can click here up to next, preview, click OK. So we have created the screw as per the drawing. Let's save it. Okay, so we have completed all the parts. Now let's learn how to assemble it. Now we will assemble all the components of butterfly valve. To do that, we will insert components one by one and we will be applying certain constraints. There are two major constraints that we will be using. One is the coincident constraint and another is the contact constraint. Okay. We will also use manipulation feature sometimes to reposition the components while carrying out the assembly. Okay. A few things we need to take care while carrying out the assembly. We should ensure that all the components has 0 degree of freedom and there is no clash between the components. Okay. So let us begin. We have opened a new product file and we will be inserting the components. So the first component that we are going to insert, we will be using existing component and we will insert the body. So once the body is inserted, we have to fix the first component. So we have a command here to fix the component. Okay. So we have fixed the component in order to make the degrees of freedom 0. Let's check. So to check the degree of freedom, we have to double click on the part name here and then we have to click on analyze and click on degree of freedom. So there is no degree of freedom. Okay. So let's insert the next component. To insert the next component, we will be using existing component with positioning. Click on product and browse the component. So we are going to insert the shaft and we will give a temporary position. Click OK. We will just rotate this assembly and we will apply the first constraint. We can see the toolbar here. We can see it is not activated. To activate the toolbar, we have to double click on the product. So now the toolbar is activated. So let us apply the first constraint, that is coincident constraint. As we have to insert this shaft inside this hole, we will be selecting the axis here and we will be selecting the axis here. Click on update. Okay. Now the next constraint that we are going to use is contact constraint. So this is the contact constraint. We will select this phase and we will select this phase. Click on update. So now let's check the degree of freedom of the shaft. To check the degree of freedom, we have to double click on the name, click on analyze and check the degree of freedom. We can see it has 1 degree of freedom, that is it can rotate around x axis. So let's remove that. We can remove that by applying one more constraint. So we are going to apply one constraint on this edge. We are going to apply a angle constraint on this edge and we will apply with reference to the axis. So it is 90 degree. Let's make it 230 degrees. Update. Okay. So now let's check once again the degree of freedom and we can see there is no degree of freedom. Let's check the clashes. Click on analyze, go to clash, click on clearance, contact and clash, apply, and we can see that there is no clash, there is a contact. Okay. So click OK. Let's insert the next component. Click on insert, existing component with position, click on product and browse the component. So we'll be inserting the retainer. We will just place it somewhere here. Okay. So let us apply the first constraint, that is coincident constraint. Click on this, select the central axis of the retainer and the axis of this hole or the shaft. Update. Let us apply one more constraint, that is a contact constraint. Select this phase and select this phase. Click on update and we will apply one more constraint to restrict the rotation, that is offset constraint. Okay, so let us select the plane and select this face. Click OK. Let us check the degrees of freedom now of retainer. There is no degree of freedom. And let us check the clash. And we can see there is no clash. All the components are connected. Okay, so let's insert the screw here. Insert component, and we will call the screw. Let's bring it forward. Click OK. Select the coincident constraint. Select the axis here. Update. Let us select the contact constraint. Select this phase and select this phase. Click Update. Let's apply offset constraint. So let us select this plane and this phase. Click OK. Now let us check the degrees of freedom of the screw. There is no degree of freedom. And let us see the clash. Click on clash, select clearance plus contact plus clash, apply, and we can see there is no clash. Click OK. Similarly, we are going to insert the remaining screw and we are going to assemble it. So insert, we will insert one more screw. Click OK. Let us apply the constraint. Let us bring out this screw as it has got inserted inside by using manipulation, and this direction is X direction, so drag along the X direction. Click OK. We will apply contact constraint. Select this phase and select this phase, apply. Similarly, we are going to apply contact constraint to the third screw. So let us apply the offset constraint to these two screws. We will select this plane and this phase. Click OK. Similarly, we'll apply offset constraint to the plane here. And this phase. Click OK. Now all the three screws are completely constrained. There is no degree of freedom. Let's check clash. So we can see there is no clash. Okay. Let us insert the next component. Is the arm. Click OK. Let us apply the first constraint, that is coincident constraint. Select the axis here, select the axis here, apply, click on contact constraint, select this phase and select this phase, click on update. Okay, we will apply one more constraint. We can apply offset constraint, or we can apply an angular constraint. So let us apply an angular constraint to this edge with a vertical axis here. Let's make it 120 degree. Update. Okay, so now let us bring the next component, and before that we will check the degree of freedom of the part that we have inserted, that is arm. We can see there is no degree of freedom. We will also check the clash. There is no clash. Okay, so let us insert the next component. That is nut. Click OK. Let us apply the coincidence constraint. Let us bring this nut out by using manipulation feature. Drag it along x-axis, click OK. Now let us apply the next constraint, that is the contact constraint. Select this phase and select the phase here. Apply. Let us apply one more constraint, offset constraint. Click OK. Let us check the degree of freedom. So there is no degree of freedom. Okay, so we can see there is a lot of mess here. We can just hide it. Can select all the constraints that we have applied, and we can hide whatever we want. Okay, right click and hide. Okay, those who are visible, we can hide them again. Okay, so now let us insert the last component. Plate. Click OK. We are going to apply coincident constraint.